Ladies and gentlemen, there's a quiet truth beneath all the noise we chase, beneath the applause, the goals, the constant motion. For much of my life, I believed greatness was something I had to reach, somewhere far ahead, just beyond the next milestone. Greatness isn't ego-alo, it's a state of being. I became relentless not by chasing success, but by embracing failure, stillness, and the present moment. This is the story of how I stopped striving and started becoming. For a long time, I was caught in the illusion that greatness was something to reach, some distant summit where applause would rain down, where the world would finally say, "You've made it." I chased it like it was oxygen, like my worth depended on arriving somewhere other than where I was. Every step forward felt like progress, yet strangely, I never felt any closer. There was always more to do, more to prove, more to fix. I called it ambition, but if I'm honest, it was fear. Fear of being ordinary version of myself, but to the one that was always there, waiting to be seen. I didn't become relentless through force, I became relentless through truth. Through learning to love the process, not just the prize. Through choosing to be whole, even when things felt broken. So if you ask me what greatness looks like, I will not point to a trophy, a title, or a crowd. I will point to the stillness inside you, the place where striving ends and becoming begins. My journey to greatness wasn't loud, it was quiet, steady, and inward. True relentlessness came when I realized I didn't have to fight the world, only wake up to my own power within. For much of my life, I believed that the path to greatness had to be a battlefield, that I needed to rise each day ready to conquer something, an obstacle, a doubt, a person's opinion. I wore ambition like armor and chased validation like it was oxygen. I thought if I just worked harder, pushed more, and made enough noise, I'd get there wherever there was supposed to be. But the more I chased, the further I felt from myself. The world tells you to hustle, to compete, to be seen. But I discovered something different, something that took me years to understand. That the most powerful transformation is not the one that explodes outward, but the one that unfolds inward. It doesn't come with applause. It comes with silence. And in that silence, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear yourself. I didn't arrive at that silence easily. It came after exhaustion, after frustration, after realizing that no amount of success filled the void I had been trying to silence. I had the resume, the accomplishments, the occasional recognition, but it all felt like borrowed meaning. I was achieving more but feeling less. That's when I stopped. Not because I had it all figured out, but because I could no longer pretend that what I was doing was enough. And in the pause, in the uncomfortable space where I had to face myself without distraction, I began to understand the nature of true strength. It wasn't in fighting harder or climbing faster. It was in softening, in letting go, in realizing that I had been enough all along, but I was too busy proving it to feel it. The journey became less about impressing others and more about being honest with myself. I had to unlearn the belief that success required struggle, that peace was a luxury, that rest was weakness. I had to learn how to be kind to myself, to trust my pace, and to find meaning in the small, steady steps. It was in those quiet steps that I found something unshakably my center. Waking up to my power didn't look like a breakthrough. It looked like choosing myself every day, even when it felt like no one else saw the effort. It looked like saying no to things that drained me, even when they looked good on paper. It looked like listening to my intuition, even when logic told me otherwise. And slowly, quietly, I began to feel whole. That's when I realized I didn't need to fight the world anymore. The world was never my opponent. My own self-doubt was. My fear of not being enough was. The voice in my head that said, "You have to prove yourself to be worthy," was the real battle. And once I saw that, I stopped fighting. I started remembering that who I am is not a product of effort, but of awareness. That greatness isn't about rising above others, but about rising into myself. That being relentless doesn't mean being louder, it means never abandoning my truth, no matter how quiet it sounds. So no, my journey wasn't filled with grand gestures or dramatic moments. It was a slow unfolding, a return, a gentle but persistent becoming. And in that still, steady unfolding, I found a power that no noise could ever match. A power that was always mine, yeah, I just had to stop and listen long enough to remember. So in the end, what I discovered is simple, yet profound. Greatness isn't something you chase, it's something you remember. It's not earned through noise or endless striving, but revealed in the quiet moments when you finally turn inward and come home to yourself. True relentlessness is not the refusal to stop, but the refusal to abandon who you truly are. I didn't become great by becoming someone else, I became great by becoming myself, fully, patiently, and without apology. And that, I've learned, is the most powerful journey of all. I failed repeatedly, and yet I did not fall apart. I fell into the fire that forges, the darkness that clarifies, the storm that rearranges,